And hello, beautiful God girls. Thank you for tuning in today. You are with Amanda today. As you can see, I am flying solo this time, and Renee has another engagement today. So let's dive into Isaiah chapter 4 together. This will be a short session because Isaiah chapter 4 only has 6 verses. So we've been used to reading through some quite lengthy chapters, but this one is very short. So let's jump in and we'll have a quick chat, and then I'll see you for the next one, which is back to being long again. So here we go, Isaiah chapter 4, and I'm reading in the New Living Translation. In that day, so few men will be left that 7 women will fight for each man, saying, "Let us all marry you. We will provide our own food and clothing. Only let us take your name so we won't be mocked as old maids." But in that day, the branch of the Lord will be beautiful and glorious. The fruit of the land will be the pride and glory of all who survive in Israel. All who remain in Zion will be a holy people, those who survive the destruction of Jerusalem and are recorded among the living. The Lord will wash the filth from beautiful Zion and cleanse Jerusalem of its bloodstains with the hot breath of fiery judgment. Then the Lord will provide shade for Mount Zion and all who assemble there. He will provide a canopy of cloud during the day and smoke and flaming fire at night, covering the glorious land. It will be a shelter from daytime heat and a hiding place from storms and rain. Okay, so the first thing to note here is that Isaiah chapter 4 just jumps in with Isaiah continuing to speak. And we have to be reminded again, of course, that the Bible wasn't written with chapters and verses. They were all added later to break up these letters or these scrolls or these documents that we're recording. So this, I believe, is actually carrying on from what we read in chapter 3 a few days ago in our last session. So you might remember that it was prophesying that a whole lot of the men and the influential people were going to be taken away from Israel, and that did happen in 2 Kings chapter 24. And then there was a lot said. I'll just jump back into chapter 3 again. Lot said about, the lack of leadership and young people having to lead and people who just have a coat get to lead. You be our leader since you have a coat, it said in chapter 3, verse 6. So, and then Jerusalem and Judah were going to fall because of the way they had spoken out against the Lord. So this then follows on. In that day, so few men will be left that 7 women will fight for each man, saying, "Let us all marry you, please," begging, "Please let us marry you so that we can take your name and we won't be mocked as old maids, deserted single women." So few men, and we have to understand that the culture in the day was that it was women needed to be married. Women, it was a symbol of status, but also of stability and security, that you were, an upright married woman. So can you imagine, girls, having to fight to be married and having to beg a man to marry you just so that you could have his name? It's interesting there that it says, don't just let us marry you and take your name. We'll actually look after ourselves. You don't need to care for us. We will provide our own food and clothing, but we just want your name for that respectability. And of course, I just wanted to, just reflecting on this, that's not what marriage is about, obviously, is it? We don't want to just take somebody's name. We actually want to be in a beautiful, godly relationship with our husband, with our man. And we do want him to be able to be a provider. It's a God-given role that God has given. God has given to men to actually, they have that implanted within them, that desire to be the provider, to be successful, to bring home the bacon, as the saying is. That's something that, goes right back to the Garden of Eden. basically. When man was instructed to labor with his hands and till the ground and produce crops from that to live. So let's not be too hard on our men, girls. They do have that built in within them to do that. Now, society is very different these days, I will have to say. Society is all about, women can do everything that a man can do. And yes, absolutely, women can. Should they? Is another question, and we'll save that debate for another day. But we can certainly absolutely provide for ourselves. But I think there's a beautiful humility also in being submissive. And that's not being a doormat and being walked over, don't get me wrong, but being in that beautiful space where you are honouring of your husband and you allow him to make decisions, guide your family, direct your family, and also to be responsible for ensuring that the household finances are fine and there is income coming in, whether that's you and him working or you working or whatever that looks like. Let's honour our men and let's give them that proper standing that they deserve under God. Now, I just said that they deserve. If you feel like you are in a situation where your man, your husband, your spouse does not deserve that, well, I would challenge you, encourage you to pray about that, because ultimately the Lord wants you to honour your husband in your relationship, God girl. So whatever that looks like, I know it can be very difficult sometimes. Relationships are hard, whether you're male or female, but having that place where you can actually honour him, find a way to honour him, even if your circumstances are really challenging. God will honour you. God will bless you for that. And there are countless stories of that, countless illustrations of that in the Bible, where people were in difficult situations, but they honoured the person above them, even if that person was being hard or cruel or unfavourable or harsh. The person was honoured. So there's a little challenge, and that's my little rant on marriage. Grasp that. There's lots of further study you can actually do on relationships. But if you want to be a beautiful woman of God with a beautiful submissive heart, and a love that comes out, the love of God that comes out to your family, then having that balance and that perspective right. It's not about a hierarchy or who's better or who's more powerful or who has the final say. It's not actually about any of that. It's about your heart being warm and pliable before God. So let's move on. I'll leave it there. The rest of the chapter, the remaining 5 verses, are giving some hope, which is wonderful, because there hasn't been very much hope in what we've read in the last few chapters with the dire prophecies against Judah for being disobedient. But verse 2 says, but in that day, the branch of the Lord will be fruitful. I keep saying fruitful, will be beautiful and glorious. The branch of the Lord will be beautiful and glorious. The fruit of the land will be the pride and glory of all who survive in Israel. And all who remain in Zion will be a holy people. How beautiful. I just wanted to touch base quickly on that word branch, the branch of the Lord, in a couple of other passages in the Old Testament and then again in the New Testament. There is a special name around that branch, and that is referring to Jesus Christ. He is the branch, and sometimes it's written with a capital B as well, denoting that it's a name. And it just reminds me of John chapter 15, the passage where Jesus talks about, I am the true vine, I am the vine, and you are the branches. Here he's saying, here Isaiah is prophesying there is going to be a beautiful branch. It's going to be glorious, and people are going to be able to feed off that. And we know now on this side of the cross, and having the benefit of having these beautiful 66 books of the Bible to read, we know that that's referring to Christ. So he is the vine. We're the branches that come off the vine. He is the ultimate branch, the source of our nourishment, and we are the little branches that can come off that, which is so beautiful, so strengthened. So I challenge you to go back and read John chapter 15, have a look at that, what he says about abiding in him, living in him, and getting our source, our strength, and our nourishment from Jesus Christ. And then I do love also the beautiful promises later in the chapter. So verse 4, the Lord will wash the filth from beautiful Zion. If you think about the descriptions of the women of Zion at the end of chapter 3, the women were described as being left in shame. And here the Lord is washing the shame and cleansing Jerusalem. And he's doing it right by bringing judgment again. And I love the protection in verse 5 as well, which reminds me of the stories of the children of Israel going through the wilderness in Exodus. He will provide a canopy of cloud during the day and smoke and flaming fire at night, covering the glorious land. So God is going to give a canopy of cloud. And that to me just reminds me of I don't know, his blessings are there all the time. His Holy Spirit is hovering all the time. And we have a protection, we have a prayer covering as well from the attacks of the evil one. If we are walking in the Lord, if we're walking in his strength and in his blessing, there are so many promises in the Bible about how he will protect us. And I love that, a canopy of cloud during the day. If somebody's trying to attack you and all they're seeing is cloud, they're not going to be able to. I love that. And smoke and flaming fire at night. Flaming fire at night is quite scary. So scaring off the enemy, scaring off those attacks of the enemy. And this is what the Lord is promising for people that shade in Mount Zion. Isn't that beautiful? We want to have our dwelling place with God, and he will protect us from above, protect us by scaring off the enemy as well. And verse 6 finishes with, it will be a shelter from daytime heat and a hiding place from storms and rain. I love that also, the fact that God is our hiding place. We can shelter in him. No matter what's going on, we can run to him and we can find shelter in his beautiful arms. It reminds me of those wings it talks about. I think it's in Psalm somewhere. God enveloping you in his wings and protecting you. So, God girls, beautiful short chapter. There's quite a bit in there. I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to seeing you with Renee, I think, for chapter 5 very soon. And maybe have a look at John 15. Have a read through John 15 today and have a think more about how you are a beautiful branch plugged into the vine of Jesus, being nourished and fed through him. And that's exactly what you're doing by reading the word and dwelling in it. So be blessed. Have a wonderful day. And I look forward to seeing you for our next one very soon. Bye.